This episode of Destructoid is brought to you by Audible. Coming up on Destructoid, the Xbox One ditches Kinect, sort of. The Wii U probably won't be getting a price cut anytime soon. And Rockstar takes us on a whimsical vacation to the beautiful smog den of Los Santos. All that and more right now on Destructoid. Welcome to Destructoid. I am Tara Long.
And I'm Adam Sessler, in for Max Scoville, who's currently undergoing a massive strip search after being detained at the airport.
Yes, apparently you can't bring knives on planes. Who knew?
Yeah, and apparently he's cavernous.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite the cavity.
Didn't need to know that.
No.
But all right, I'm glad one of us has the intel on that.
Dental care, kids.
Yes. On to less disturbing news. Things are pretty light today, but one thing that did manage to slip through the cracks was this video that was uploaded to the Xbox YouTube channel yesterday, offering a detailed look at the new Xbox One controller. You know, the one that took 2.5 years and $100 million to research? Yeah, that one. Some of the new features we were already aware of, like the haptic feedback triggers that, according to General Manager Zulfi Alam, are so precise that players will actually be able to detect the differences between using different guns. So like, you could detect the difference between a rifle or a bazooka, or something like your car skidding out of control, or hitting the gravel and the tiny motions of hitting brakes, things like that, which are pretty cool. As for the look and feel of the controller, it's definitely a lot sleeker. The ergonomics have obviously been improved. There's also an integrated battery compartment now, so it's not all chunky on the backside. And slightly smaller, but more precise thumbsticks with that nice soft rubber, so you can game for 20 hours straight and still not feel anything, just as it should be. Probably the most hated aspect of the 360 controller is the D-pad, of course, and fortunately Microsoft has modified it so that it's much closer to the motherboard now, so it's set in a little bit further, so it doesn't hurt your hands as much. Obviously, that should make things a little bit more comfortable over long periods of use. There's also now a micro USB port on the back of the controller as well, so no more, you know, buying wired and wireless controllers now. It's pretty much all the same. You can switch between wired or wireless at any time with any USB cable, which is cool. Lastly, and this is something that I knew the Kinect was capable of, but I didn't think that they'd actually do it. The infrared LEDs on top of the controller apparently sync up with Kinect, so that if I'm playing a game and say I hand the controller to you.
Why, thank you, Tara.
Yes, you're welcome, Adam. Kinect will actually be able to detect who you are, and they will automatically switch profiles when I hand the controller to you. So ignoring for a moment the fact that this is totally creepy and weird, what if I don't want to switch profiles? Is there going to be an option to turn this off?
I mean, I imagine there would be. I'm trying to think, there might be a kind of a neat way that you could pass the controller around, so you have same couch, multiplayer, but just with one controller.
Exactly, and that would be an excellent example of a good use for this. If I'm just handing somebody else the controller and I'm like, hey, beat this part for me, which sounds so stereotypical now that I say it out loud.
I didn't even think of it that way.
But like, I don't want them to switch profiles, you know what I mean? It seems...
I see where you're coming from. I'm looking at it from like, I have a younger sibling, I put it down because I have to go potty. He picks it up thinking that he can actually play my game, and now he doesn't hurt nor help.
Oh.
Yes.
But how do you handle like jumping into somebody else's game at a point that's maybe beyond?
That's actually rather confusing.
Yeah, this whole issue is a little bit confusing, but one thing that we did get a little more clarity on is whether or not the controller is going to be compatible with PCs. According to Microsoft, it will, but not at launch. They are currently estimating sometime in 2014. So I was reading some articles about that, and a lot of people were saying, yeah, it kind of seems like maybe they were sort of rushing to get this out.
Yeah, I mean, rushing, I mean, look, the PC can't be the primary objective of this controller because it's supposed to be with the Xbox One. I'm trying to figure out what, I mean, it's just a handful of drivers, I would think. Maybe I'm really, really naive on this one, but yeah, I guess the only other thing I can consider is that games that could be used with an Xbox One controller on your PC, those PC versions will not be optimized for the haptic feedback and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can see it. Technologically, I don't see what the big issue is.
Yeah, I mean, they should be able to just turn a lot of those features off. Like, you're going to need the infrared, you know, sensors or anything like that for PC. But I don't know. I'm not a...
Science is hard and challenging. Okay, more on Microsoft. Some people are terming this a retreat, others an about face. And then there are even some that call it a flip-flop from Microsoft. Now, it was stated in an Ask Me Anything from Xbox's Mark Whitten that the Kinect sensor for Xbox One never needs to be attached to the Xbox One. Now, this got a lot of hullabaloo.
Scandal.
And people were like, oh, look, it's a retreat. They're saying this. In fact, they actually said that you could turn it off inside of the settings on the dashboard quite a while ago. I still don't know what the huge jump is from doing that to unplugging it from the back.
So they can throw it in the trash when they want to.
Yes, exactly. So obviously this news has been heralded as another win for a frustrated and disappointed consumer base that Microsoft has slowly and effectively been paying more attention to, along with their reversals on used games and the once every 24 hours online check. Now, what I really think is behind a lot of this is just the public reaction in general to the issue of motion gaming. I get it. I'm with you there. If it wasn't Boom Blocks or Wii Sports, I could not find a motion game that could hold my attention. But that's not to say I think the entire venture is a dead end. In fact, one of the biggest issues with this generation is that Sony and Microsoft games were either all motion or not, due in large part that there's only partial penetration of Kinect and Move in the marketplace. I've been supportive and continue to be of Microsoft's decision to bundle a Kinect sensor with every Xbox One, because that's going to give the confidence to developers that the accessory is available and can program useful and compelling motion or voice integration without it being used solely as a useless gimmick or the entire thrust of the game's mechanic. I'm not saying this is going to work out well in every instance, but in light of the constant complaints I hear about the lack of innovation and experimentation, to celebrate the retreat of Kinect in the Xbox One, well, it seems kind of counterintuitive and disappointingly conservative.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 cents.
On the other side, I can see why people are upset knowing that it's not required for the system to function and that they have to buy it anyway, because when you think about it, I mean, it's $500. That's a lot of money. It's $100 more than the competition. And I think, you know, maybe people want to be able to see how it's going to work before they have an option to buy it, you know? Like,
no, obviously it is raising the price.
Right.
But I think what's been lost in so much of the conversation, and look, $500 is a lot of money. I'm not going to dispute that. But Microsoft clearly has this ambition with this box that they could not explain to anybody very effectively. They've retreated on everything else, but they seem to be so steadfast on that Kinect that I think I'm willing to kind of say, like, okay, there's something that you hope that this will do for the consumer, then it's so important to be in there.
Yeah.
That, you know, maybe we'll see it at Gamescom. Maybe it won't be something that happens for a year out. But given their ability to reverse on everything else, the Kinect must be so central to their philosophy that it needs to be there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if a year down the line they launch a version that doesn't have Kinect bundled with it for the people who just adamantly refuse to buy one.
Because it's one of those, here's my analogy. Children and myself don't like peas. But if you say no to all peas, you might miss the most perfect mint chilled pea soup at the French Laundry because you said no to all peas.
Wow, that's quite an esoteric reference, so hopefully you guys get it. I've always been wanting to go to the French Laundry. So GTA 5 is fast approaching, and to get people excited for the game, Rockstar has updated their website with a travelogue for the city of Los Santos. So if you head over to rockstargames.com/V right now, you will find a bevy of information on the city, half of which is labeled as coming soon. So I'm guessing the other half.
Oh, V, it's 5.
Yes,
in Roman
there you
speak.
go. Ha ha ha. So the other half includes tidbits about the city's outdoor offerings. It's got some information on its dwindling economy and collapsing healthcare system and its fine selection of shops and storefronts. They've also got a section about vehicle customization with a few cars that are presumably going to be featured in the game, as well as a section called Leadership You Can Trust, which shows campaign videos from 2 candidates, Sue Murray and Jock Cranley, who made a teeny tiny appearance in Vice City Stories and who you may remember as the former stunt double. Well, in GTA 5, they're both running in San Andreas' gubernatorial race, which happens to be taking place during the events of the game. So I'm sure we can expect to see a lot of cheeky advertisements and campaign ads while we're playing. As for the question of whether or not GTA 5 is coming to PC, which is an insanely hot topic right now, Rockstar still hasn't confirmed anything. I wouldn't expect them to anytime soon. But according to an investor call made by Nvidia's Senior Director of Investor Relations, Chris Evenden, the game may be launching on PC this fall. May. So in the call, he makes reference to the ever-changing PC market, saying, quote, gamers are preparing their systems for a strong roster of games coming this fall, including blockbuster franchises such as Call of Duty Ghosts, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Assassin's Creed 4. So based on that sentence or that couple of sentences, a lot of publications are sort of reporting this as fact. You happen to be on the phone with Rockstar
Talk about something
earlier.
unrelated, yes.
Yes, and you asked them about it.
Yes, and they would not offer comment on it.
Okay, they would not offer comment. So again, still very nebulous. It seems to me, in my own personal opinion, based on the language that he used, that he could have been talking about console games in comparison to PC games, saying like, there's going to be a lot of games launching this fall, we need to be prepared for it.
I also think that he could have been doing a Ron Burgundy, and that someone wrote out 3 of the biggest games that are coming out at the end of the year and didn't really put 2 and 2 together, that one of them, at least very openly, has been stated to not be coming to the PC, at least in 2013.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that guy wasn't, a gaming expert, because he works, in investor relations. I have no doubts that GTA 5 is going to come to PC eventually, but given Rockstar's track record with that and the fact that the console version launches next month, it seems awfully optimistic to assume that a PC version is going to be out by this fall. Am I wrong?
Also, if I have something I want to sell, I don't tend to not tell people that it will be available for purchase.
Exactly. All people want to hear is that this game is coming to PC.
And that, everyone likes to think that there's always like, hey, we're going to keep a surprise so we can hold something back, as if this is like some kind of 5-year-old's birthday party with a piñata. No, this is a multi-million-dollar game. If they had a PC version, we would hear about it now. We'll probably hear about it when there is one, and that will be further down the line.
Yes.
Everyone,
hopefully
calm down.
Sooner rather than later.
Go play Brothers, Tale of Two Sons. We're reading too much between the lines this week. It's getting scary. Not between the lines, and perhaps very shocking about Satoru Iwata's latest statement about the Wii U is, get this, I'm agreeing with him 100%.
You don't say.
I know. Look.
Bananas.
In an interview with CVG, he was asked about a potential price cut for the struggling system that has only sold 160,000 units globally in the last 3 months. He pointedly notes that when someone actually purchases a Wii U, when this occurs, they are buying the expensive premium model, and they really aren't selling much of that cheaper basic bundle. Now, let's ignore the fact that this is probably a result of not finding an audience of casual players who bought the original Wii by the boatload, and that the premium model more closely, but not all that closely, resembles a console with actual storage space from this generation. He actually has a point. What is far more telling is an alternate statement that explains why the console is suffering from the poor sales. Quote, I understand that the real issue is the lack of software, and the only solution is to provide the mass market with a number of quality software titles. Really? Is that so? So the console alone, sitting in my entertainment unit, isn't sufficient to derive satisfaction from my $350 purchase? Look, this might be some type of impressive moment of contrition and self-awareness if the very same thing hadn't already been said about the launch of the 3DS. Given the awareness in Nintendo for how long games stay in development, why this wasn't accounted for in the quickly closing window to launch strong first-party IP before the other 2 new consoles launch may never be sufficiently answered to my liking. Here's what I have to say. Whimsy is not the engine of success. But then again, it's the year of Luigi.
Ooh, sick burn. Yeah, I mean, again, I struggle to find why these sorts of things are news, because it's like he's just saying everything that everybody already knew. Like, you need games.
But it's really bad when the president of the company seems to be the last one to acknowledge what everyone else is painfully aware of.
Yeah, that seems to be an ongoing theme in this year of gaming. So moving away from games, we are going to take a second to thank our sponsor, and then we will be back. If you guys like books but don't always have the time to read them, then Audible.com is the solution to all of your problems. Audible is the leading provider of audiobooks with over 100,000 titles to choose from, no matter what kind of books you're into, romance, nonfiction, young adult maybe. There's no judgments here. Just download to your iPod or MP3 player and you can listen to them anytime, anywhere. Even better, as a Destructoid viewer, we are going to hook you up with your first audiobook absolutely free. Just head over to audible.com/Destructoid and sign up. Adam, you are a literary master.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm sure you read a ton of books. What's something that you recommend?
I checked to make sure it was on there. Lord Jim by Joseph Conrad, one of my most favorite books. I love Joseph Conrad just as an author, but this, I think, is his fine achievement. It's really kind of a dark look at the obsession and pride that sort of men fell themselves into. It's written at the turn of the century. Young man, he's ready for adventure on the wide open sea with the merchant, ship. They do something incredibly cowardly, and he must escape the shame, and that sends him to the far reaches of the earth, where somewhere on this island he kind of becomes their lord and must protect them against the nefarious Captain Brown.
I feel like I don't even have to read it now.
Yes.
But you should. Audible.com/Destructoid. You can get it for free. So that is all the time that we have for today's show. I apologize, it is a bit more brief than usual. Both Max and our producer are out of town, and Adam and I are really, really bad at computers. So it's a miracle this even came together.
What are those things you keep on referring to?
Just press the buttons and nothing wrong will happen, ever. Everything wrong will happen. Max is going to be back on Friday. However, we are going to be doing our live show that is kicking off at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time right here on youtube.com/dtoid. So prepare your loins for a cornucopia of video game deliciousness and probably a Hawaiian shirt, because that's how we do things around here. You won't be with us.
No, but I will be enjoying your liveness from the YouTube.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Adam. That is it for us today. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here on Friday with Max.